I enjoyed yesterday's chat of just talking about what it is when you really love something and how like you can find effortless discipline without even realizing it, you know, when you're being disciplined without even realizing it just because you love something so much. And how your life can end up feeling like a boot camp, again, without you even realising it, not to be too serious about life and everything else, but in the sense that you've got this mission, you're on this mission, you've got these goals and these things that interest you so much that your life starts sculpting itself and everything sort of aimed to get results in this one particular thing or take steps forward in this one particular field, and how good that is for us and how amazing it is for us as humans that we have these emotions, that we can get gripped by something within love. And I spoke about as long as it's in balance, you know, as long as it's not at the detriment to other areas of your life, and how sometimes we get to that point as well where you go so far into something being disciplined with realizing it or not, that you can get to a point you look around and you think, wow, I need to pick up these other areas of my life and give balance, and I've gone through that, you know. But it sort of got me thinking, you know, about having these projects, having these ideas that I keep talking about, these ideas that we really, really love so much that you keep following them, and it's good for the brain, it's healthy, it's a healthy place for the mind to be, rather than in all this other stuff that's not necessary or fueled with drama or problems, you know. And by having these projects, we go to bed thinking about them rather than other aspects of our lives that aren't necessarily positive, you know. Go to bed thinking about something that gives you life, that fuels you in a way where you get so much back from it in fulfillment, rather than things that drain your life force and everything else. And it got me thinking about like our life, you know. Our life is one big project. You can look at it this way, you know. It's one big project that we go through our lives learning about our characters and understanding more about our characteristic traits and what makes us us. And through this we learn and dive into the things that don't sit well or that we struggle with, or these things are highlighted within us that we need to work on or we'd like to work on. And we go through this leveling up process of understanding eventually who we are beyond these physical bodies and everything else, right? So our life essentially is just one big project. You know, it's got the quite cliche thing I've seen online before, people saying like the motivation and the inspirational content that's like be the author of your own book. If you were the main character, you know, how would you live your life? And this is healthy in ways that makes you think about, yeah, it's what I do in my spare time, you know, it's what I do when no one sees. How's my energy then? Where's my focus at then? You know? And if our life's one big project where we go through learning more and more about ourselves and our energy and what it's all about, you know, who we are beyond these physical bodies, we're going to get pulled into things of our weaknesses, but also our strengths and things that are crutches or things that aren't good for us, and it's for us to navigate. But all along we're seeing more about ourselves, who we actually are, and these characters, you know. How through life we go through the sort of initiation period in many different things. It's not just into adulthood, but in many different things. You're going to have an initiation period into a certain chapter of your life or a certain topic or a certain project. But also on the grand scheme, if our life's one big project, an initiation process that leads us on to being an apprentice. And then later on in our life, when we've gone through all these different experiences and picked up all these things along the way, learning about ourselves and the world and how we see it from our unique view, we reach some sort of mastery, or you'd like to think that we can reach some sort of mastery of just understanding the world and but more so ourselves. And is that what mastery is? You know, forget whatever project, small projects we spend our time doing, life being one big project. Mastery is to be gained there, of looking back and thinking, wow, I've really come a long way of understanding what I was born with, who I was born being, and how I've taken steps forward of uncovering these layers of myself as I've gone through these different chapters of my life. And I'm projecting in a way. I don't know what it's like to be old and wise and having gone through years and years and years and years. I've only got this chapter the chapters that I've had so far that are getting me to this age. But I like that idea that our life's one big project. You get initiated, you become the apprentice, and then you master things along the way. And that's wisdom, right? The things we're going to pick up, they're all unique to ourselves depending on the path we lead and what direction in life we go in, and our unique characters, how we see the world and everything else, you know. So yeah, life's not about being perfect. I wanted to highlight that, and I keep highlighting that. It's not about being perfect, but understanding ourselves and being the author of our own life is true. You know, we really can decide how we spend our own time and what we focus on in our own time. And I also think this is where confidence comes from. You know, when you know yourself, what you do, and where you turn up and where you shine in areas that are difficult, or what you do with the hours where you're on your own, what you choose to watch and dive into, what you choose to learn, the hours you choose to do nothing or waste. And again, not there's anything wrong with that, but I think when you know you're not quite turning up to the best of your ability, it makes sense that we're not as fully confident. When you are doing these things and you focus on certain aspects of your life, or you're doing your best, you turn up and you're really bettering yourself and learning about your character and the things you'd like to improve, and then you actively take steps forward to improve those things and shine light on those things, you're going to be confident. You're going to stand next to other people at a vibration where you haven't got guilt, you haven't got this thing eating away at you, you haven't got these things eating away of you, because you're turning up each day, shining light on them, and ultimately doing good things with your time, because your life's your project. And sure, we're going to get pulled in different areas, we're going to have difficulties, we're going to have things to overcome, chapters in our life that are hard, or maybe we're not so confident, or we're in a dark place or a darker place. And then other aspects of our life and chapters of our life where we come out of ourselves and we've learned all these things and we've overcome them, and we're going to be more confident. But treating your life like this, or taking a moment to stop and reflecting on your life like this, even if it's even if you've only had so many years so far and you've got it all still ahead of you, this initiation, this apprentice, and then the mastery leading to mastery, we really have got the power to decide how this path goes for us, in whatever aspect, in whatever area we get pulled down, it's still down to us to navigate it and to turn up as our best and give ourselves the biggest leg up in life, to feel good, to be confident. And that comes from how you live, doing things that aren't necessarily easy or that you don't want to do, but for your best self, or diving into learning things and bettering yourself, and or being consumed by things that are draining you, shying away from things that may be hard but are for your best self. All these things make sense that you might get to a point in your life, if you have been neglecting these things or not taking these things that are in your best interest seriously, that you're going to get to a point where your shoulders aren't back. You're not looking people in the eye. You're not so confident. Or someone say to you, it's great to see you so confident. You have that feeling of like, yeah, well, why wouldn't I be? I'm doing everything. I'm pleased, I'm proud of everything that I'm doing and everything that I do in my spare time when no one else sees. When you're at peace with how you spend your time and what you go off and do in those hours where you're completely on your own or that no one sees, you're going to feel like, well, why wouldn't I be proud? Why wouldn't I be confident? And that's a good place to be. And I think by looking at our lives like this one big project, as I said, not taking life too seriously, but it's not about being perfect. I want to highlight that. It's never going to be perfect. We're never going to be perfect. And as I said, we're here to learn these lessons, to learn about ourselves, and that requires to go to some dark places and to peel up some things. And some people's journeys are more difficult than others. Maybe they're here to dive into that part of themselves more than others. Maybe others have got an easier ride and are more here just to have fun, be like happy-go-lucky. But yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense that confidence is born from how you spend your time, how you approach your life, how you approach your life project, or your project that is life. Going through these different stages of hardship, but how you deal with it, and the things that of learning and shining a light on the aspects of yourself that you don't like or that you'd like to change, but actually actively changing them, doing the hard things, and falling in love with doing the hard things. Those things that you actually start really getting a lot of joy of, and they become you. It feels wrong when you're no longer doing those hard things because you've fallen in love with them, And this is what I said in a previous video, how it's easier when you really want it, or it's easier when you love something so much that you can have effortless discipline. And of course, can you ever have effortless discipline? I reflected on this as well off of yesterday's video, effortless discipline, because any sort of discipline is going to take some effort. But what I mean by effortless discipline is when you're doing that without even realising. It's not taking any more effort for you to force yourself to turn up, because you're going to do it anyway. You can't help it, but anyway, you love something so much. And apply that to our lives, being one big project. If we love our life so much, even the hardship, even jumping over the hurdles and doing the things that when you're in a situation that's really, really difficult, but you're kind of in love with solving it. You're kind of fascinated by the best way to approach it, how to overcome it in the best way for you to learn, handle it. Having put in your pocket another life lesson, another bit of wisdom that you'll later look back on and think, yeah, that was a pivotal point in my life and I overcome it. And I'm proud of that. All these things fuel confidence. Fall in love with having a routine or a way of life that feeds you and fuels you in the best way. And this is why, like with exercise and stuff like that, how you can do a hard workout yet you end up with more energy. It's the same thing. Living a life that not going to be perfect. It's not always going to be fun. There's going to be difficulty along the way. But depending on how you overcome it and how you approach it and how you talk to yourself and how you fall asleep overnight with the things in mind reflecting on your day, is either going to give you energy or drain energy from you. And if you're doing things that are giving you energy positively, learning, overcoming, doing the things that you know are right for you to do rather than neglecting them and doing things that aren't giving your soul much back, and it makes sense. We're not going to be as confident, we're not going to be as proud, we're not going to be as vibrant, we're not going to be as fulfilled in our lives. So if your life's one big project, going through these different stages of initiation and apprentice and then apprenticeship and then mastery eventually, having learnt more and more about your character and the lessons and traits that you've had to overcome, are you living that way? Or would you look back on this time that you're currently in and think, if only I had taken certain things a little bit more seriously or given a little bit more love to certain things that were feeding me in the right way, in a positive way, feeding my soul, rather than giving me either nothing back or draining me. Life's one big project. Enjoy it. Have fun with it. And I think that comes through doing the things that you know deep down are right. Your intuition knows right. Things that sit well with you, things that you know you're gaining from in a positive way, you're gaining positive energy from, and not giving to things that drain you and take away from your life force. That spark that you were born with, that you can keep alight by doing good, coming from the heart, being authentic, being true to yourself, and also studying the right things and fueling yourself in the right ways. There's power in that.